Thank you, Hugo, and welcome everyone. Our program today is on preventing homelessness in the veteran community. Our first panelist is Ashley Griffith. Ashley Griffith has worked in the nonprofit industry for over a decade, with specific experience building programs to increase access to safe, stable, and affordable home ownership and support the military and veteran communities. She is currently the executive director of Gloucester County Habitat for Humanity, whose mission it is to build homes, communities, and hope for the low-income families in the county. Ashley earned a BA in history from Temple University and is a proud AmeriCorps alumni, for which she credits teaching her the importance of leadership and turning talk into action to implement change. Ashley currently volunteers with the Delaware Valley Veterans Consortium, serving on the executive and membership committees, and is a past participant in the honorary commander program at Joint Base McGuire, Dick Lakehurst. Ashley.
Thank you. Thanks, LaShonda. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to Delaware Valley Veterans Consortium for allowing me to present here today. I gotta preface this with I actually became familiar. So before I start the presentation, I want to just say I became familiar with Delaware Valley Veterans Consortium through my work with Habitat. So I was with another affiliate working with their family and volunteer programs. And I wanted to implement the first Veterans Build program at that affiliate prior to coming over to Gloucester County. And one of my first calls or one of my first meetings, to network our new program was at DVVC. And at that meeting alone, I think I met like 10 different new contacts. And now Habitat, my former affiliate, has one of the most successful Veterans Build programs in the state. So I thank DVVC for that. So as LaShondra talked about, our mission at Habitat for Humanity, and this is internationally, I have my colleague here from Philadelphia, internationally, we seek to put God's love into action. We bring people together to build homes, communities, and hope. And that mission has expanded a lot in the last 10, 15 years. We used to think of Habitat for Humanity as solely building new construction homes and then selling them to low-income families who otherwise would not qualify for any kind of conventional or traditional financing. That has since expanded into, there are affiliates that do repairs, which we'll kind of talk about. Philadelphia extensively, we'll talk about that. Some affiliates do disaster relief, emergency housing, things like that. I'm going to speak solely on Gloucester County Habitat for Humanity, and just preface a few things with, hey, this is what we do here. It might be different, depending on what affiliate you're working with, because Habitat affiliates work to address the needs for their specific community. So our entire vision as an international organization is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Internationally, this can mean a lot of different things, but ultimately we think that housing is foundational to basic human rights. And specifically for this forum, we believe that, specifically those who have served should have safe, decent, affordable housing. Our partner families, we qualify our partner families a few different ways, but ultimately they have to meet 3 base criteria. And this is the same when it comes to our general affordable housing program, and then also for our Veterans Build program. They have to exhibit that they have a need for our program. So families who apply for Habitat have to be living in substandard housing conditions. So whether that's unaffordable, dangerous, temporary, overcrowded, they have to exhibit, a need for our program. They can't just walk into a TD bank and get approved for a conventional loan. I have worked with families, as I'm sure you have worked with families who have gotten pre-approvals for loans, but those pre-approvals have been $100,000, you know, and where are you going to find a house to purchase, a safe, stable, decent, affordable house to purchase for $100,000 in the state of New Jersey. So that's where Habitat comes in to support that. They have to exhibit that they have an ability to pay, contrary to still widespread belief that Habitat gives away homes for free. We do not. We extend a mortgage based on the buyer's affordability. So if the house, you know, market value is $300,000 and that family likely cannot afford $300,000, we'll extend that first loan for as much as the family can afford, and we'll subsidize the gap. They also have to have the willingness to partner with us. So they, in addition to purchasing the house, they have to complete what we call sweat equity. Sweat equity, the amount varies based, you know, from affiliate to affiliate. Our affiliate in Gloucester County requires 350 sweat equity hours. I've seen affiliates go as low as 200. I've seen affiliates go as high as 500. So during their time in the program, they're actually volunteering. They're volunteering building their own homes. They're volunteering on the houses of other families in the program. They're taking education courses so that they're prepared for the responsibilities of home ownership. And they have to be willing to do that from the gate. So we make sure that all of our families meet those base criteria. So the question comes up, you know, why did we decide, as the largest nonprofit home builder in the world, why did we decide to implement a program that focuses on veterans? And I can answer this for our affiliates, because I do think the answer varies based on affiliate. International rolled out the Veterans Build Initiative, so it was not an official program. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was like in 2010.
Yeah.
Okay, it was around 2010 that they rolled this initiative out. And they basically said, hey, Habitats, take a look at your community. If you have veterans in your community that are living in substandard condition, we might want to do something about that. And what the Veterans Build Initiative is it's an intentional, proactive commitment to serve military and veteran communities in your area, in your affiliate service area. So in New Jersey, over 115,000 veterans currently live in unaffordable, overcrowded, or otherwise substandard housing conditions. Of those 115,000, about 35% of them are actually living in cost-burdened situations, meaning that over half of their income is going towards housing expense alone, which leaves 50% or less for all other expenses that they need to live. So we in Jersey, when I was with Burlington County and now with Gloucester County, we said, okay, this is a need. This is a need that our community has that we now need to step in and address and be proactive and intentional about addressing. So the Veterans Build program has 5 pillars. The 5 pillars of the Veterans Build program are building, employment, volunteer engagement, education, and honor. So building, you all kind of know about it, right? Everyone knows Habitat for Humanity builds. So where that kind of changes with the Veterans Build program is that we slate houses, we designate certain houses that are restricted for sale to only veterans. And that the definition of veteran may vary affiliate to affiliate. I know some affiliates do only post 9/11. I know some affiliates who do all pre 9/11. I know some affiliates that are like, listen, if you served and you have an honorable discharge, you're good. It's not to any certain era. So for our affiliate, veteran is a veteran. So as long as you have served in any era, in any branch, with an honorable discharge, you can qualify for our Veterans Build program. So that's the building component. We also have a part of that component is the repairs. And I know Keon will talk a little bit more about that and what they do in Philadelphia. Employment. So we want to make sure that we are being proactive and that we are trying our best to reach veterans who are looking for employment. So when we have employment opportunities open, we'll put on, the job description, hey, military veterans encouraged to apply. We'll go to military resource fairs and job fairs to try to find veterans to fill our open positions. Volunteer engagement, we are very, very close in Gloucester County to the Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. I have, I've served as honorary commander there, so I would liaise with the units that I was assigned to and get them to come out and do their service on the construction site, in the restore, things like that. So again, just trying to be proactive, really connect the military community with the civilian community through volunteer and public service. Education. So I talked a little bit about education for our partner families. We open up these education classes to the public. If you are a member of the public and you have not served in the military, the cost for these classes will be the cost of materials. We don't make any money off of it, but we are a nonprofit, so please pay us for the materials. In consistency with our Veterans Build program, that cost is waived for if you've served. So if you can show me, that you've served our country, the cost is waived and those classes will be free. We also make a commitment to honor those who have served. So a lot of affiliates around the state host luncheons to honor veterans, participate in days like Red Days, remembering everyone deployed. We actually partner in Gloucester County. We partner with local VFWs to send care packages to those who have been deployed. We get our staff, our volunteers involved in that. We are a Toys for Tots location, things like that. So Veterans Build as a whole is very broad, but these are the 5 pillars that kind of dictate that commitment. So I want to give just a little example, because I'll be honest, my previous affiliate, again, as I discussed, has now a very robust Veterans Build program. With the affiliate I'm with now, we are just really launching the Veterans Build program and the repairs program. But we did do a project just about 2.5 years ago for Sergeant Harris, and Sergeant Harris is there. I kind of list repairs that we did. So we were approached by an organization called Angels Outreach. They had heard of a veteran in Gloucester County who did, he was almost 100 years old, did not have the ability to leave or come back to his home because there were dilapidated stairs. And he, for the most part, used a wheelchair. Does not have a support system. A lot of his family and friends have since passed or moved away. So he was working really, really closely with a local organization, and was literally, this is exactly how he described it. He was a prisoner in his own home. This to me and to Habitat is unacceptable. So yes, he has a home. He owns his own home, but he is living in substandard housing because he's on a fixed income. So he does not have the money to, work with a contractor to install his own ramp or get the stairs fixed. He doesn't have that support system that can loan him money, that can help him. So Angels reached out to us and said, Habitat, can you do anything? We said, absolutely. Absolutely, we can do something. So we mobilized our volunteers. We, again, worked in partnership with VFWs and American Legions. We installed a completely accessible ramp, for a permanent ramp for his home. So now it's big. It almost looks like a boardwalk, but it is a ramp. And now he can access, his house. He can go to and from when he pleases. We also, his bathroom and kitchen were full of hazards. I mean, there were electrical hazards in his kitchen. There were plumbing hazards. There were things falling apart. The kitchen and the bathroom were very close to what I would consider being condemned. Like they were unsafe. And so we went in, we renovated kitchen, we renovated the bathrooms. We upgraded his electric. We repaired flooring, walls, all of which turned out to be about $50,000 worth of work. But now he is, he's obviously, as you can see by the picture, he is happy. He was very satisfied with the work. And he calls us randomly today to just chat. So he's a fantastic person. And so that's the Veterans Build. That's our repairs program that we are now implementing. So I don't know where I am with time. I got a little nervous that I go a little too long. So thank you very much. And I think we're doing questions at the end, right? Okay. And so I'll look forward to your questions at the end, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashley. Our second panelist, Keon Isaac, is the Director of Homeowner Services for Habitat for Humanity Philadelphia. Her team at Habitat Philadelphia is responsible for recruiting and stewarding households through the organization's home repair and home ownership programs. Before Habitat Philadelphia, Keon spent a decade building social impact programming and business capacity for nonprofits on the West and East Coast, including community engagement work with Playworks in the Bay Area, operations management for an urban farm here in Philadelphia, and remote work building educational platforms online for a multinational company based in the UK. Keon earned her BA in psychology from Stanford University and earned a master's degree in social psychology and social policy from Princeton University under a fellowship with the National Science Foundation. In between her bachelor's and master's degree, she worked as a research scientist at the University of California, Berkeley, and as a project manager for the World Bank, where she conducted research on best practices, training entrepreneurs, building social impact businesses in Uganda.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for having me today. I especially want to thank Kat Kirkman for introducing me to this group here this morning. And started out just, she had a veteran in need, and it turned into, well, opening up this space and platform for Habitat for Humanity Philadelphia. And I do also hope that we can become a member organization as well. So thank you, Kat, for the introduction. And thank you to all of you adults. Like, there's a lot of faces in the room that I've been talking to recently. So it's great to see you all in person here. Like Ashley was saying, Habitat for Humanity is an international organization, but the mandate is for every affiliate to serve their market, their community, in the way that the community needs. So we all operate a little bit differently. And so I'm happy here to talk about the initiative that we have specific to serving veterans through our home repair program. Before I do that, though, I want to zoom out and just say Habitat for Humanity Philadelphia has been operating in the city for about 30 years now. We have 3 very interconnected programs. The first is, of course, our flagship. What we're known for is home ownership. We build and sell homes with an affordable mortgage to low-income families. We also have the home repair program that I'll dive more deeper into today and how that works. And then we have a neighborhood revitalization team that works alongside my team and our construction team to make sure that the communities where we're building and repairing homes also have advocates for other needs. We find that oftentimes housing is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to making sure people have a safe and affordable place to live. So to date, we've done over 1,000 projects between our 2 programs, and I will say we are rapidly trying to expand. Philadelphia specifically, but all around the country is, the housing market has gone crazy. Our board has kind of taken up the mantle and wanting to do more. So we've done about 1,000 projects in the last 30 years. We're hoping in the next 5, we do 1,000 more. So specifically when it comes to repair at Habitat Philadelphia, you can go to the 3rd slide. Thanks. I'll just look at you and say the goal for our home repair program generally is to keep homes safe, warm, and dry. We have an in-house construction team. They're fully licensed project managers. They fully come under our umbrella. And what we'll do is we'll look for water infiltration, structural hazards, safety issues, high utility or like if there's essentially draftiness, we'll weatherize a property. We do have a focus in on exterior repairs, especially, and quality of life, as well as aging in place for those older homeowners. Philadelphia is a very interesting market in that it's the 3rd poorest in terms of major markets in the country, and yet it has probably one of the highest percentages of home ownership amongst low-income families. So our home repair program, we actually do 10 times the number of home repairs than we do new builds in the city. So it's a pretty robust part of our programming. And we're really, for us, we found the University of Penn a couple of years ago did a very interesting study about housing conditions and what causes displacement. And when a family's roof, has a disrepair and leads to water infiltration, they found it only takes about 5 years for that family to move out because of the cascading other problems and issues that come with water infiltration. Our area is a very wet area. And of course we have lots of brickwork, which breathes. So when there's water intrusion inside the home instead of outside, what you're seeing is mold. Of course, electrical systems become areas of concern. Usually, oftentimes, the elements will come in with that water, animals will come in. So it can quickly cascade into there's a patch on my ceiling, must be some water, into I can't live here anymore because my electrical system keeps failing. And anyone who's ever worked on the electrical in their house, that's probably one of the biggest bills you'll have. So that's kind of what we try to focus in on. We are generalists, and I did want to next slide, talk about one family that we had in particular. I call them the Smiles family. This is an Army family. The patriarch had been in the Army for 6 years, and they had, after he left the military, they bought a house, American dream. He started a new career as a teacher. And over time, the disrepair to their home, he ended up with a disability after leaving the military, and that kind of limited his own physical capacity to address repairs. And as we see, one thing turns into another and turns into another. And so there was some pretty major interior work that we did to his home. So that's just kind of like the before, like what a lot of the walls actually in the house look like. I don't know if it's the same thing in New Jersey, but in Philadelphia, there's quite a lot of plaster that happened in the interior houses rather than drywall. And that can be really costly. So you have to maintain it, otherwise it will crumble away. And so you can see how the plaster was crumbling away everywhere. So what we did is we did a lot of repair and drywall work, just going in, patching it up, painting it a basic color so you could go in and customize it how they liked. Next slide. The way that Mr. Smiles came to us is he qualified on 3 major areas of qualification. Similar to Ashley, we all kind of have a similar perspective in that you do have to have a need for services. The household income that we serve is up to 80% of the area median income for Philadelphia. We do ask that it's an owner-occupied residence and it's the primary residence of the veteran. The veteran does not have to own the house, but they do have to be living there as their primary residence. And we do have to get the consent of the owners. And then that there's no other assets that the veteran has over $10,000. So if they have an investment property or something like that, in our minds, they have something to leverage in order to, have their services done. Of course, there's a willingness to partner. We consider all of our households who we work with as partners in the program. So that's, turning in a complete application, that's making the home available. Our version of sweat equity at Habitat when it comes to our repair program is largely like, if we need the armoire moved away, please just make sure that, your personal items are out there. You're not having your beautiful Doberman pincher walking around during our home repairs, so you partner with us just to make sure the site is safe and clear for our team to do our work. And then we do have a repayment plan for a portion of the repair costs. So we do our repayment plan based off the income of the household and not the cost of the repairs. We don't ask anyone to pay more than $1,000, and they can do that in 4 installments if they can't do that right away. It's important for us that both the homeowner and the house are a good fit for the program, just because we're always trying to work with people based off of what our internal capacity is. Other habitats will partner with lots of third-party contractors to get work done. We actually have an in-house team that does both our home repairs and our construction work. So we're always balancing out both our capacity with labor and, of course, our funding. And I will offer too, we find that oftentimes if a veteran has like someone in their corner, maybe it's someone on one of your teams, who is helping them. We always think that the willingness to partner is where our referral partners can come in and just help steward the veteran through their application process. We try to meet people where they are, but having an extra hand in that process is always great as well. Next slide. So this is just our income guidelines. We don't have a minimum income. If the veteran or the household doesn't have any income, that's fine. But we do have a maximum, and so that just kind of gives you a sense of what it is. Household size does include children, and we ask for the income of all the adults in the household during the intake process. In terms of the house itself, so after they've done the application process with my team and they become qualified, we'll have one of our project managers, as a licensed general contractor, go in and do a full home assessment on the house. They're looking for safety hazards, health hazards, intrusion of water, major systems repairs, those kinds of things. We do our work based off of our capacity and our funding mechanism. So it is one of the things where we want to hear from the homeowner about what their needs are, but ultimately we'll build our scope of work based off of what we think we can best do. We do work with the city. They have the home repair program as well, the basic systems repair program in Philadelphia. The wait list is 2 years. So we do not have a wait list at Philadelphia at Habitat, but they do. And so we actually have a partnership where if we're in a home, we've committed to working with them. They'll actually push that person up on their wait list and serve that person alongside us. So what we can't do, we try to get the city to do, and together we oftentimes can make quite a big impact. Just so that you know, we do look at, the larger picture of the house. If there's violations, against some in the city, that's either something we have to build into our scope or something that we'll ask to get addressed beforehand. If there's a hoarding situation or lots of, bugs, pests, we will look for, sometimes there's some pre-project work that we'll ask of the veteran and connect them hopefully to some of you people in the room to kind of help them with that. One thing that we often see is that utilities being turned off. And so oftentimes with our work, we'll need them turned back on. So we might, I might be reaching out and see if you guys know any resources in that way. So with the Smiles family, they were, the father had served 6 years in the Army, had been on permanent disability. The intervention that we did specifically in his home, it was a lot of interior work. We did also do some aging in place. So I chose this one because we kind of did a little bit of everything for them. We focused in on the exterior windows as well. This is the before picture. You can see the top ones. The wood around them has really degraded. And so that's where a lot of water and moisture can come in. So we recapped them and, kind of made sure they were watertight. Of course, he'd been living in that home since around 95. So he was aging. And so what we did was some modifications, some guardrails in the major bathrooms, making sure that actually some of his doorways to his kitchen, they're very small, it's an old historic home. So we actually widened them. So just in case in the future he has to use a walker or a wheelchair, they'd be able to access that. And lots of interior wall replacements. The total cost of the project for Habitat was about $13,000. We only asked them to pay 2.6% of that cost, which, the remainder we subsidized through our own funding and through our partnerships. And I will also offer that sometimes we do have community partners who will refer people to us. And then when we tell them about the repayment, they offer to sponsor that for that family. And we do accept that. So if that's a capacity that, when you're referring people that you can offer to that family, please just let us know. We don't want it to make it a hardship or a barrier. And we do also offer scholarships. So especially if there's zero income coming into the household, we will just go ahead and waive the repayment. We don't want to add to that headache. But yeah, that's kind of our approach to home repair and home ownership. I will say one last thing about our funding mechanism. We do a lot of donations and partnerships, but unlike a lot of the other work we'll do, and that's might be neighborhood based. So where we're currently building homes, we'll try to repair homes. Those are often in partnership with other organizations. Our commitment to serving veterans is citywide, regardless of where they live. And it also is guaranteed. So we will use our own operating funds to serve veterans. And so, of course, we do our separate fundraising for them, but we make a commitment to do at least 10 projects a year, regardless of where that funding is coming from. So we really believe in it. We want our veterans to stay where they are. And we found that the best way to keep housing affordable in Philadelphia is by keeping people in their homes. So yeah, that's our work. And then of course, that's our contact information there. Any family can reach out to us at extension 18 or that email address, and we'll reach back out to them within a week. However, I will pass around my card. If you know of a family that needs immediate help, feel free to just let me know, and we'll reach out to that family and get those services. Yeah.
Thank you, Kim. Our third presenter is Vandy Ryder. Director Supportive Services for Veteran Families. Vandy holds a master's in public policy administration and leadership from the Ohio State University and the Bachelor's of Science in Social Work from Metropolitan State University of Denver. After serving 8 years in the military, Vandy worked with stateless people in Southeast Asia before returning to the United States in 2013. Since then, Vandy has worked to provide services to at-risk veterans and their families. She joined the Veterans Multi-Service Center in 2019 as a program manager and was recently promoted to Director of Supportive Services to Veteran Families, SSVF. VMC's SSVF program spanned 33 counties across Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey. Vandy.
Good morning, everyone. So the Veterans Multi-Service Center, just so that y'all are aware, as you can see up here, that we were founded in 1980 by a group of Vietnam veterans that wanted to provide support services to that community within Philadelphia. So over the years, we've grown to what is now one of the larger veteran service providers on the Eastern Seaboard. And we, like she said, that we do span 3 states and 33 counties across those states. We have, I'm sorry, if you want to go to the next slide. Thank you, sir. So we have an abundance of programs that we've been able to develop over these years. And we're really poised to do wraparound services for veterans who are either homeless or at risk of homelessness. And as someone had said, that oftentimes the housing is just a symptom of something that's even further embedded. So we have a staff of folks throughout 8 different locations that's covering all of these things that are really highly skilled at doing those assessments to really look at not just the housing issues that are going on, but we're able to address, you know, so many other things. We have employment programs. We work with women veterans programs. Women veterans oftentimes we come with children. So the price tag on providing a support service for a family, you know, a single parent household tends to be pretty, you know, that much higher than it would be for a single adult. And as we're also finding out that women veterans, we come with our own stuff, the gobbledygook that we all come from with the military. So we're able to connect these women, give them a place of belonging, a place just to take a deep breath and reevaluate what it is that they truly need. And we put together a plan and we help to, we're that connecting place for these folks in terms of helping to get the other communities involved and, you know, to be able to look at the person as a whole. We're very holistic in what we do and to provide these wraparound services. We have veteran service officers that can help a lot of programs. And I heard and so many of them that if a veteran doesn't have an honorable discharge, they aren't eligible for most things across, you know, the spectrum of the US. So, and a lot of times veterans come into some situations that maybe we don't respond as well as we should. And then the military just kind of processes people out, and general under honorable or other than honorable is one of their favorites. And oftentimes when we, you know, go back and investigate, we're able to take a look at that. And we have very skilled veteran service officers that they're able to help address that with the VA at the federal level, to be able to put together the right package, to know how to couch the conversation and the application to help these veterans get the discharge upgrade that they deserve and that they need in order to be eligible for some other stuff, as well as being able to help connect them with veteran benefits, because a lot of them don't qualify if they get processed with anything other than an honorable discharge. We also have the SSG Fox Suicide Prevention Program. That has been very instrumental, and I've had the privilege last week. I probably should reframe that. I had the honor of working with them on a veteran that was in crisis, sitting with this vet, and it was just amazing at the skill level that the SSG Fox provides and helps to train the staff that are working in that with this vet. I mean, the vet walked in, it was just a mess, sitting there finding out, okay, well, we can help with this, the housing, that was my group. I went and got some stuff. They, did this, and it was just really fantastic to see. So it's amazing that we have this grant. It's life-saving work. New Day is our opiate program. We are able to provide, as you know, in Philadelphia specifically. I'm relatively new to Philly, so I didn't, when you see things on the news, when you see it in real life, it's quite jarring. So we have this opiate response program that really helps these veterans to face not just the addiction, but the underlying cause of why this was the thing. And then we do have the perimeter downtown where vets are welcome to come, to drop-in center. They come in, they go up to the perimeter. Everything is handicap accessible for them. So they're able to get meals. We have a feeding program, so they get meals, they get showers, they are able to do their laundry. We also do the screening because sometimes people don't know what they need until someone else says, hey, what about, because when you're in crisis, you're just surviving. And the survival mode is never a really good feeling. So when they're able to decompress and just take that minute, we're able, we have staff on hand that talks to them, kind of assess what's going on. And then we make sure that we provide them with the right service. And again, having a robust stable of services, it really helps us to kind of pinpoint what the immediate need is. And then we can work with the other stuff after that. Again, we have employment and training. We have several federally funded grants. We have a grant from the Department of Labor that helps us with all of our counties for employment. We're able to do some training. We partner with, in Philadelphia, it's CareerLink. I believe here it's One Stop. So we are able to leverage these program dollars so that we can help these veterans at a deeper level rather than just, what I would almost call a Band-Aid for the moment. So it just helps to have different things that you can leverage. And that's why this collaboration that you guys are all part of here is really, really important, so that the vets that have these $13,000 home repair needs, we can partner network these different programs to find what needs, to get met and how that's going to happen. Again, with the legal aid, they help with some of our discharge upgrades. They help file for VA benefits. We have some landlord tenant issues. Not every landlord is going to be a real nice person. Right? You laugh, that's funny. So, but yeah, that happens. So we do have legal aid services that come into play here. And again, none of this is at any cost to our veterans, because the last thing they need to worry about is how can they put the bill on yet another thing. Something else, and the state correctional institutions, that's relatively new to us over this past 18 months. We actually are embedded with all 7 of the Pennsylvania state correctional institutions, 5 of which have veteran service unit coordinators. And what we do is we go in and they have a list of these vets that are coming up within 6 months of getting out. And a lot of them don't have any community connections. And I was surprised at not knowing this, but sometimes when they're due to get out, it's basically put them on a bus and send them away. And as you all know, that's just prime time for recidivism. So working with these SCI the unit coordinators, and at the top level with the DMVA, Michael Carrington is embedded with them, and where they call the Veterans Multi-Service Center to work with these vets a few months before they get out so that we can go in, do a full assessment. We work with them. A lot of law enforcement, though, also are veterans themselves, and they do find that they're in crisis. Again, that SSG Fox, because we all know that in first responders and military suicide rates are too high. So we offer those benefits not just for the those that are incarcerated, but also the staff. And it's been very beneficial for the staff to also know that there's assistance for them. And if we aren't able as an organization to make that immediate need met, we do warm handoffs. We never just say, we'll call so-and-so goodbye. We just don't do that. So we're always there to make sure that they know who they're, where they're going, who they're getting to. And then we work with VetPort and Veterans Justice Outreach with the VA. One thing in particular that I really want to note is that about a year or so ago, we had a veteran that came in through our employment program. And we were working with this vet and then found out that they had to go to court, and then and I forget what the exact charge was. And so our employment person, our housing person were with this vet. They were already connected at the vet courts and working with the local DA. So when the DA talked with our staff and found out that this particular veteran was enrolled with us and that we are doing case management and we're getting them on track, they actually gave this veteran a break and did a delay thing, and it didn't impact his employment. It didn't go on, they basically dropped the charges as long as he was maintaining with us. And I just thought that was fantastic because it had the potential to really be disastrous for this veteran. So these relationships that we're all doing here are very, very important. Next slide, please. So with SSVF, which stands for Supportive Services for Veteran Families, we do connect veterans to permanent housing, and again, it isn't just about housing. And oftentimes, they may have a lot of, we call barriers. I prefer to use the word challenged as opposed to barrier. Barrier tends to mean a hard stop, where challenge is every vet wants to rise to the challenge and overcome. So we work with them to help minimize what these challenges would look like. And again, if it's discharge upgrades, if it's working with our legal aid services for expungements, things like that. We also will connect them to the VA, other public benefits. We do case management and outreach. There's just so many things. I'm not going to go through the list that y'all can see, that, the things that we do for veterans is just, there's just so many things out there that people need as human beings, but veterans and specifically. And the reason that we offer all of these services, and what's really, I think, very unique about having, and we do have a lot of vets on staff as well, and we have a lot of highly skilled and qualified folks that work with us, is we really work hard to create a unit. Whenever you get out of the military, it's like you're always looking for that fit again. And sometimes some people find that fit in a not so healthy manner. And that's what we try to do, is create this unit around this veteran that's in crisis to help them recognize that they're not facing this battle alone. So we all become battle buddies with this vet. And I think that's something that is really unique about all of you guys here with this collaboration that we're doing, is we're all creating a group of battle buddies for our veterans. Next slide, please. So we go through, and again, with rental assistance, we're able to help. And the case management, because this is a case management program with all of these other services as a benefit, because when we case manage, it isn't just paying that veteran's rent that month, but rather, again, doing a deeper dive, looking at what's going on, making sure that we're helping this vet if they're not able to pay the rent because they're spending all this money on childcare because they're trying to work. There's just so many things going on. We're able to kind of help carry that load with them, help them to learn to budget, help them maybe to increase their skills so they can increase their earning potential, help them with the childcare stuff. Sometimes when you just get a job, it's astronomical to have to figure that out. And we work with the state benefits and things like that to help engage those services that will help to cover some of that expense. And again, if they're enrolled in our housing and in our employment program, both programs help with childcare expenses. So we're able to leverage both programs to really provide a deeper level of support so that they have a time to breathe. And we walk them through different things in the processes. We can help with moving costs. When you get the first thing, terrible thing to do is to be homeless, and then someone helps you get housing and you move into an empty place. Great, thanks for the roof over my head. So we're able to help them get in, and we get beds and all of the accoutrements, the pillows, the blankets, the sheets, everything like that they need. So we are able to help do that. We have several programs that we're able to get household things. We have a connection with the Philadelphia Furniture Bank, so we're able to get other furniture so that you can turn it into just a roof over their head into a home. And that definitely helps people to catch their breath. Again, with the emergency housing assistant, we work with a lot of veterans that come through fleeing domestic violence. So we really work hard to make sure that we get them connected, and safety is always the first thing. When you're not safe, then what else matters after that? So safety is always the first thing that we look at when we're assessing needs. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we have a very, like I said, a very holistic approach with our veterans. We're creating this unit, we're creating battle buddies for our veterans. So we have to meet them where they're at. We can't expect them to come and meet me where I'm at, because I'm not living on the streets. I'm not being threatened with eviction. So I can't expect somebody to react to a crisis situation the way that I might, because I have supports, I have a job, I know where my next meal is coming from. Our folks don't always do that. And when you've got a landlord yelling, you've got a note on your door, you got your kids are screaming, you know, whatever your situation, I can't expect that veteran to keep everything down here. So sometimes we just have to let the storm rage. And okay, and you know, de-escalation tactics, and really just, okay, I really get that this is tough for you. I get that. I would feel the same if I were in your situation. So that's important to have that kind of training, and our staff has that training. And with what we do as an agency, we do the training. We engage on a regular basis with training staff, with crisis intervention, trauma-informed care, suicide prevention awareness. Oh my goodness, the trainings that we have to go through. But it's important to constantly train. And as you know, first responders and military, as you all know, repetition, train, because when you're in that moment, you rely on that training to do what you need to do. So we make sure that all of our staff's trained up, that we're squared away and handling that. We walk through what's happening. A lot of times, if we just rapid fire at somebody and like, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. We break things down to small bites. And again, that goes back to meeting people where they're at. So we explain to our veterans the services that are available. And then what we do is we connect them to those services. We don't just give them a list of phone numbers and locations and say, here's your bus tickets, go see ya. That's not who we are. We walk the walk with them. Again, battle buddies. So what we're doing with our veterans is we're saying, okay, so here are the services. Let me help you as a case manager. Let me help you get connected. And we talk to the person first on our list. Again, the needs assessment breaks it down to what are the most immediate needs, and then we build from there. So we do that, you know, we talk through some of the ADLs and the things that's going on. And again, when we have some folks who have disabilities, or they're, you know, aging, and some of the age-related things, you never know what's going on with somebody. And sometimes those ADLs need to be looked at and really address, are they able to do the day-to-day stuff? Are they able to get out of their home? Are they able to feed themselves? Are they able to, you know, whatever it is, are they able to? And if the answer is no, we help to build that plan so that they will be able to, whether it's with an assistance or themselves, to have the capacity. Next slide, please. And that's us. Thank you.
Thank you, Vandy.
Yes, ma'am.
Our last panelist, General Patrick Kennedy. General Kennedy is the Assistant Adjutant General Air, New Jersey National Guard, and also serves as the Commander Wings Performing Fighter. In Commander, New Jersey Air National Guard. He exercises command and control over 2 flying wings, performing fighter, and air refueling missions, and serves as principal advisor to the adjunct general on the execution of Air Guard assets. General Kennedy's military career began in August 1991 when he was commissioned as a lieutenant in the New Jersey ANG. Since then, he has deployed and flown combat support sorters for both operations Enduring Freedom and Iraq Freedom. His BA in business is from Stockton State College. He is Assistant Adjunct General, Fort Dix, New Jersey, and Superintendent of Veterans South Haven. General Kennedy.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for everybody here and all that you're doing for veterans. Because you know, this homelessness in veterans in the veteran community is a real problem. And the beauty is that there are so many people who want to rally around it and serve those who serve. So I'm excited to be here with you all this morning and tell you a little bit about Veterans Haven South. But we're going to kick it off with a video that just sort of give you an idea of what our facility looks like and what we are, and then I'll talk about it a little bit at the end.
So how am I going to do that? That's in. So for a second. We want to make sure both of you get the benefit here.
Oh, I see. Votes around us are looking for more donations.
The different one.
Little technical difficulties that we're getting to.
Certain shipments to give to nonprofit organizations. So I think that is one of those things we have to like ask, we have to like prepare for that and source it.
And it depends on the inventory at the time.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally started doing that last year. So.
All right, now everybody's gonna see it.
Now we have it.
That what you're looking at?
Veterans Haven South is a 2-year transitional housing facility for homeless veterans. We have a robust team of social workers, nurses, drug and alcohol counselors that can address all the different dimensions of homelessness, hopefully getting all of our veterans into permanent housing and with a quality of life. Veterans Haven South is a special place. There really aren't any other facilities that have so many veterans on staff that care about our brothers and sisters and want to see them not only in a sustainable life, but happy. We serve all vets. We've had every branch represented here. Obviously, the larger branches, Army, Marines, we get more of, but we've had Coast Guard. We've had every branch represented. We've had male, female, all ages. The oldest age I've seen here was 92. And we also have a female veteran right now who's in her early 20s, straight out of active duty. So we really have everybody.
My name is Orlando Drummond. I served in the United States Marine Corps in December of 78 through 85. Veterans Haven's experience for me has been great. If I'd known about this place earlier in my life, I probably would have came here sooner, ran away from home, come here sooner. You know, it's really wonderful here. It's pleasurable. And it's so many things I could say about it. I don't think it's enough time, but the treatment department here, the staff up front, they really look at our needs and provisions and things. When we ask, they're great. They really do look after us here.
Here at Veterans Haven South, when a veteran is put into our program, we develop an individual service plan. That individual service plan is what we call the ISP, and it addresses income, health, and housing. So for the income, if it's appropriate, the veteran would apply for any service connection, general assistance, Social Security benefits, anything that would bring them in some income Some of our veterans are deemed employable, so they're going to take the route of applying for jobs. We have a vocational counselor on staff who will help them do their resume, as well as cover letters, drive them to job interviews. And lastly, they can take the option of vocational counseling. So what they'll do there is they'll apply for their GI Bill, and they'll also be able to apply for any grants in our area. We rely a lot on donations. So a lot of times somebody will call and they'll ask that they want to adopt a program. We were just given barbecue grills, so the veterans have barbecues every Sunday. We also have a computer room. It's the computer lab. The veterans can use that for job searching, basic computer skills. There's a printer in there if they need to print off their DD-214s or anything like that. And it's in the treatment team hall, so we're there to assist them as well. There's also an arts and crafts room, and we also have art therapy. We also have a pool room. So it's a pool. I think there's arcade games in there, ping pong, things like that. There's a big screen TV for football Sunday. So there's those kind of things as well throughout the building. We have a music room. And there's also a gym. Most veterans are using the gym in the morning time. So it's busy here, but it's also a place where they can rest. The intake for is a process. We have 2 intake coordinators right now. So basically a veteran just needs to call us and we do a phone interview with them. We deem the appropriateness for our program. They get scheduled to come here. We can provide them transportation to get here as well. They come through RLS, the residential life staff provides them with a welcome bag, and in that bag is all the essentials that they need. They have an assigned room. Their room has their own key to it. It's a secure room. It's their room. Some of our rooms are single rooms, but there is a sink in every room, a place to wash up, a closet, a bed, a desk, television. And then generally, as long as they are following their ISP and the rules and things like that, they can stay here for up to 2 years to transition to independent, sustainable housing.
So Veterans Haven South is an all-encompassing program. We're involved with our veterans from case management to barbecues on the weekends to checking in on them after they leave. Myself, other members of the administration, other members of staff, we're veterans too. And, you know, the military creed is leave no man behind, leave no woman behind either. Whatever we have to do to make somebody feel that they're not alone, that they are just going through something, and that, you know, we can help them get past that and then turn around and help somebody else get through it.
Okay, so we had an organization come and do the video, and I think it's to me it's worthwhile to hear directly from the staff and some of the veterans that tell the story a little bit better than I am. So what we are is, oh, sorry, if you can go to the slides. I don't want to get too far ahead of those that are following my mind.
For those in the virtual world, the French toast still is really, really good.
Great. Okay, next slide. All right. So what we are is we are a transitional housing program, and that's important to state because what we aren't is a shelter. So the veterans apply to be part of our program, and when we assess veterans into our program, we need to ensure that they're truly in a place that they're ready to get on that first step to move forward to housing. So things you've heard from the other panelists are the same with us. So we have two basic missions. First is to provide that safe, stable housing environment right when they get and stay with us. And that we have a department, our Veteran Services Department. They're there to provide that 24-hour living. We provide 3 meals a day. There's laundry, all kinds of whatever it takes to live. That's what our services department. And then once they're on their own 2 feet, our program department, their goal is to get them from this now safe housing environment to a sustainable housing environment. And right now we currently run at about 84% of discharging veterans from our program into a permanent address that we track for 12 months to ensure that they in fact are sustaining. And then after 12 months, we're not tracking them anymore. So I think it's going well past the 12 months, but that's our tracking period. So those 2 departments focus on those 2 missions, getting them from wherever they're at to a safe and stable place, and then start that transition to move them to a safe, sustainable place. Next slide, please. So how do we do that? So we provided it. You have to be drug and alcohol free in our facility. So we are not a sober house. And we understand that many of the things that drive homelessness are addiction and mental illness, and the things that can get them in trouble is running to those quick fixes. So addiction is an illness. So we're not zero tolerance. Every time a veteran comes back in through our front door, he or she is breathalyzed to ensure that they're not under the influence. And then there's a random urinalysis to do drug screening. And essentially, as we assess the veterans when they first get here, it depends on the substance abuse program that we put them on. Some are, really need to be on that zero tolerance because that's their condition. Others are, maybe don't have a dependency issue, but they are still required to be clean and sober. So we just vary that depending on the veteran's situation. And they agree into all of that. So it's not a surprise to them. Alcohol is free. Is a legal drug, and so is marijuana. But in our facility, you have to have a medical marijuana card if you're going to be partaking that. Now you can't do it at our facility. You can partake with a card outside, and then if we test you for that, that makes sense. We take what I'd like to say veterans who are really potentially on the streets at ground zero, and we transition them to a place where they are ready to be completely independent living. So it's an entire bridge process. But in order to do that, we work on modeling all of the things it takes to live independently. It's unsustainable to take somebody and then quickly get them to an apartment when they may not have the skill sets to manage money, to grocery shop, to cook, to clean. Some need some of the very basic skills. So we work on all of those. And there's a rent component in our program. So we take their monthly income, and then we do some allowable expenses, and then we multiply that by 30%, not to exceed $300. So no veteran pays more than $300. And then we recently instituted once we do that calculation, and we'll just say that we get to the 300 mark, if the veteran signs into a forced savings program, we'll allow them to put half of that into a savings account and show accumulation, and only pay us the other half. So now when they leave us, they actually have a couple $1,000s in the bank, which is life-changing to some of these veterans. So it's a really good program, and it drives that model of saving money and standing up to your financial responsibilities at the same time. And we have some veterans, when we do that calculation, it comes to zero. And we have some that come to $30, and we still allow them to put 15 in the bank and 15 to us, just to try and model that right behavior. And all of that, as they get their HUD bash vouchers or the things that are going to get them in the community, this sets them up for success so that when they leave, they're prepared to do that. So when they come in, we assume, but it's not always the case, we assume we're starting at zero. So all the things that any human might need: a birth certificate, driver's license, social security card, DD 214, all of that stuff. We start working on building that package of important documents. We work on an income stream. If many of our veterans are working, are coming and going to work every day. We also employ them right at the Haven. So do housekeeping, maintenance, a lot of them come with a tremendous amount of skills, and just for whatever spiral they got to us at, they're just, are looking to start over again. And they thrive when they're busy. So our facility, the video there and our facilities, it looks like we have a lot of space where the veterans can hang out and spend their day, but the truth is we don't. We have the cafeteria, we have the computer room, which we renovated. It's up in the right-hand corner actually, because I needed a little bit more of that common area. Otherwise, they're down for their meals, they're out at the gazebo smoking, or they're in their room watching TV. And that does not lead to a good mental place or space. And especially if you're dealing with a lot of PTSD and or addiction, that dead time is not healthy. So we're constantly trying to build out different places and spaces in our facility, and then add some activities as well. So up here, so we have a sister Haven as well. So we're Veterans Haven South, and we really, our catchment area is our veterans have to be registered with the Philadelphia VA, and that really drives the housing. We can take them from anywhere, but our goal is to get them to housing. So the VA programs have to all start through the Philadelphia VA. So when we get them in there, we can just get them registered there. That's all it needs. That's all we need to do so that we can start working that housing solution. But we have a sister Haven, and that's Haven North. And this is our Haven versus Haven softball game up there. Now we brought our veterans. I don't know where their 20-somes came, but when they got out of the van, we knew we were in trouble. And I think it was 35-0 in the third inning. But we started to gain steam, and then we caught up. But we do a lot of things, a lot of activities here. We have an annual event where we thank all our donors. So I like to say, and I heard it here before, we can survive. We're a state organization. So we are part of the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. So we have a state budget. We do get VA funding through a grant. So, so we can survive with the budget we get, but we thrive with the donations and the donors. And you saw some of the big checks there. And I think on the previous slide, we started a corporate partnership with the Hard Rock Cafe. They came out, took a tour of our facility, immediately gave us a $20,000 check. When they went back and they said, you know what, we saw all of your beds. We have contracts with mattress companies, so they bought all new mattresses, which is like another $17,000. And so, there's a lot of people that want to help veterans. And I like to say, you can't swing a dead cat without somebody who wants to say they want to help a veteran, but very few really step up to the plate. But those who do step up big, and you all know that because that's the environment you all work in. The other thing that really become a challenge for us. So historically, we would bus our veterans to the Philadelphia VA hospital and take care of most of their medical appointments there. Now that there's a lot of referrals going out into the community, so we try and get the veterans to all of those appointments because it matters for their service connection and keeps them healthy and in a good space. That's becoming a greater challenge because now there's doctor's appointments all over the place. So we're working to solve that on a regular basis, but it's one of the things that we spend a lot of resources doing, coming up with creative ideas. We got a corporate Uber account now, so we can funnel some of those donated funds into that and dispatch and get veterans to all the places they need to be to continue to be successful. Next slide, please. Okay, who we serve. So we call ourselves a 100-bed facility. That's true. There's 100 veterans in there, but we really have about 85 beds that we can house veterans in. So in that video, you saw the library, you saw the computer lab, you saw some of the arts and crafts room. Those were all upstairs in bedrooms. So when I got there, which is about 18 months ago, we were averaging about 65 veterans. And I was like, well, our contract with the VA is 81 veterans or 81 beds. We only had 4 female beds. So once a female veteran was in there, we were turning female veterans away almost weekly, if not monthly. So we started to collapse and create more warm and combination common areas. Like that computer lab, you saw it had like 15 or so computer stations. but just like in the video, there's usually one veteran sitting in there at a time. So we turned that into a library lounge and went down to about 6 computer stations and opened up 2 bedrooms upstairs. So we were able to open up bedrooms upstairs. We took our arts and crafts room and our paint room and made one arts and craft paint room, opened up more bedrooms. And then what we were able to do is open up a female wing for 15 beds. So now we're at max capacity on male beds, and we have room for about 10 females right now as we stand. So there's a greater need, and as just brief, we can't take children, so that is an issue. But there are times when we get female veterans in when they can get their children to another family member. What we have found when we open up this wing, the female veterans don't stay as long as the male veterans. They come in and they start working their solution. They may have a family issue. They're just trying to regroup, but that has been very successful for a week. So when I got there for about 12 months, we had the same 4 female veterans. We've now had about 15 come through, stay for 3-4 months, go get housing, so that's working out, but we can expand. So if you know female veterans, and I know we have one that's in need, get them pointed our way. We have rooms for them today. Now, so that's a good news story. How we're funded, I just talked about, we're going to be at the Philadelphia VA. We are funded through a GPD grant, it's called. So veterans who are registered and are entitled can have 3 of those GPDs in a lifetime. So it might be in an inpatient drug rehab or at a housing facility like ours, or transitional housing facility like ours, but they can have 3 in a lifetime. For ours, and up to 24 months each. So arguably they could stay in a facility like this for up to 6 years. That's not ideal because we are not a housing facility. We are a transitional housing program. And some of the veterans forget that when they get in there, because we make it fairly comfortable. It's nice, it's clean, and it's not a shelter, and they all have their own bedroom with a digital TV and a refrigerator and 3 meals a day. Suddenly, hey, if I could stay here for 6 years, life is good and relatively low cost. So we work very closely on getting them on a program, because once we get them a HUD badge, that expires. And if they get that HUD badge, if you're not familiar, is a voucher for veterans to go out in the community and basically do the same thing, take their income and multiply it by 30%, and HUD kind of carries the rest of the rent at certified facilities. So that's a great program. So they can leave us paying $300 a month to an apartment paying $300 a month, and with a safety net of money as well. So we have two models. We used to have 3, but it's just 2 now: clinical and service intensive. Clinical are when we get veterans that are basically out of being discharged from another program, a drug addiction program, maybe working through their mental health issues, and then don't have anywhere to go. They come to us. But aside from that, they're largely fully functioning individuals that just need a housing situation, and we start working with them right away. Then the service intensive are more like the ones that are living on the street, and we have to build them up from scratch. So there's a lot of case management work that happens in there. There is an admissions requirement. So as I'd like to get veterans from the street into our facility in one day, that doesn't happen. We have, based on our license, we have to have a TB test. We have to determine their eligibility. As quickly as we can line that up, we can get them in there in 24 to 48 hours. The TB test is the long hole in the tent, if you will. But we're starting to work with some medical providers in the area that said, hey, what can we do? And if you can give me a TB test and give me the results, inside of 12 to 24 hours, that can speed up the process. So if veterans are out there, get them pointed our way as early as possible. If if they're coming to you or your organizations, they're going to be homeless, they're going to be foreclosed on, we have enough lead time to build that up. So I told you we're at max capacity with male beds, but we have veterans leaving every day. And so we have a waiting list, but it doesn't take long for us to offer you a bed. So if your date's coming in the future, that's helpful. We can lead turn that. I know that's not the case with every veteran, and we'll do everything we can to get a veteran in there as swiftly as possible. The TB test is like I said, and for years they've all been negative. So we're like, do we really need to keep doing this? And then we had 2 positives in the last 6 months. So like, so we do it for a reason, right? And we do have a vulnerable population as well. The average age of our veterans is 58 years old, and the average stay is 10 months. So they can stay for 24 months, but as you know, as they're coming in and out, if they already have that HUD bash, then we work fairly aggressively to get them right into a housing situation. If not, over COVID, some stayed a lot longer. Because it was hard to get housing, it was hard to get out there into the community. So now we kind of get that average down to where it's working, and we're really solving this homeless. And I like to say we're curing homelessness for the veterans as they're coming in here. So there are some requirements: application, interview. When they come in, we'll COVID test them and we'll drug screen them. We won't admit them if they're under the influence of drugs and alcohol. We'll just need to go out 24, 48 hours to try again, and that TB test. And then there is some criminal screening that goes on. Just that you can have a criminal record, you can be on parole, you can do all those things. There's just a couple things that may not allow you to some sex charges, and arson. Arson's a deal breaker for our license. So with that, thank you very much for the time. I went kind of fast because I know we played a video there. If you have access to this PowerPoint, the opening slide actually clicks you to our webpage. You can get our admissions package there, all of our contact information. You can share that video, it's right there. And then there's some veteran testimonials. We try and go out there and just interview some of the veterans that are staying in our facility. I also invite you all to come visit because when you get to see it, you can get excited about getting veterans to our facility. It is not a shelter. Some of the veterans say, I don't want to go. I've been to these beds. When they go and they see our bedroom and they get served their first meal, they're like, all right, I'm in. So it's good. It's a good place. It's a good mission. Thank you for your time.
Thank you to all our esteemed panelists. Now let's get into some questions submitted by our audience today.
I have a couple of questions. If I can move forward with that, I appreciate it. So first of all, thank you all. Anybody that has served our country, thank you for your service. The HUD VASH vouchers, are those permanent supportive housing vouchers? Are they Section 8? Because I work with a voucher program as well.
So I understood the question. It was, are they they're
Permanent or Section 8?
okay? So they're permanent housing through the HUD and tied with HUD and VA. So Section 8 is different. It's a different avenue, which if they don't qualify for HUD VASH, because there's some income requirements that some of our veterans, just based on their service connection, may actually make too much money to qualify for the HUD VASH.
Right. Okay. And my second question is, somebody was speaking about discharges and things. Are people eligible to apply or attend any of these events or resources if they have a Chapter 11?
Riley, I'm just sorry, who on the panel are you hearing this question to?
There was somebody that was speaking about needing an honorable discharge, and then somebody else was speaking about a different type of discharge. So I'm not sure who that person was, to be honest, but somebody was speaking.
That's to VMC.
So if I understand the question correctly, you're asking about discharge upgrades. Is that the question? Like what's the process?
Well, if somebody went in and tried to dispute their Chapter 11, because I ran into the situation a while ago, and that was turned down. Is there a way that somebody can participate if they have a Chapter 11 unable to adapt?
So for our program with Veterans Multi-Service Center, we actually, this is going to sound interesting, we specialize in veterans that did not get honorably discharged. So for us, we're able to provide services. Our services aren't, there's not a prerequisite of honorably discharged. We just aren't able to provide services to those veterans who were dishonorably discharged.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty much everything else is fair game, man.
Okay. Thank you so much for the
Yes,
answer.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Can I answer that? I realized I didn't
Yes.
define. So for Habitat Philadelphia's home repair program, likewise, we just ask that you're not dishonorably discharged, so we would serve you as well.
And we actually are the same. I think a lot of Habitat affiliates say honorable other than honorable, just not dishonorable.
So it is just dishonorable that cannot be serviced under these programs right now, if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? We have some in the room, so we're gonna go to the room first. Yes.
And answer this, how each of the panelists can, what kind of funnel do you have for your program? So how many people kind of start the process as opposed to end up in, for Habitat, actually getting refurbished housing or into Veterans Multi-Service Center or into Veterans Haven South?
So you wanna answer that first? You.
Sure, yeah, so at Habitat Philadelphia, I will say that we tend to qualify a lot of folks who submit the application. It's getting the application in that oftentimes is where we have the most attrition. So I'm really real when I say if you're helping someone with a referral, just know we might ask you or lean on you to help them with that application to get it back into us.
And that's on them, right?
Right.
That's their responsibility.
Absolutely, at the end of the day, because you have to work alongside us to get that repair done. So if you're absent from this process, it's not going to be successful. So that's us.
Okay.
We're the exact same. I mean, in our typical affordable homeownership program and then our Veterans Bill program, the biggest struggle we have is not necessarily finding people for the program. It's finding those who not only qualify, but then those who go through, because Habitat is a kind of monster of a program. And so it's finding people who get the application complete, submit all of the documentation that we request to make sure that they do meet our criteria.
25%, 10%, roughly, very rough. I'm just curious.
I'd say probably a quarter.
I would say we have
Maybe
more
even half.
we have more success actually with our veteran applicants than we do others. We do. So I would say the attrition rate is probably 50% for our veterans.
And how about Vex Haven?
So if you meet the minimum criteria, which is you're eligible through the VA, which goes to the caliber of your discharge, we will accept you 100%. Most of the time when a veteran doesn't come, it's their choice. So we have a high acceptance rate, so long as if you meet the criteria, we're gonna accept you. So we write right into our grant, we're gonna get veterans with the least amount of barriers as possible to get them off the street as quickly as possible.
And those are normally what the substance use kind of, what will stop somebody who's eligible from?
Okay, so if the VA determines that they don't have a GPD eligibility because they already used 3, that's going to be 1. If they had it's a other than honorable discharge is the discharge that disqualifies you, because it's honorable or general or the other. Those are the 3 categories, and we find that's fairly rare. And so there's so eligibility, the caliber of discharge, and then criminal offenses. We take them with substance abuse. If they're actively using, we will try and refer them to a higher level of care, because they'll get into our program and we'll have to discharge them to a higher level of care. But we try and get that funnel, go through there, and then get us back. Once you're accepted, you're accepted.
And how about from VMC?
So with the Veterans Multi-Service Center, I always look at us like we don't really, I wouldn't say like the funnel down, because we have served, oh my gosh, thousands and thousands of veterans. We screen in and not out, and we have so many programs that, yeah, we pretty much will take them. And again, with our veteran service officers helping with the upgrades of discharge, that helps them to get into some of these other programs that they need. But yeah, we've seen over 2,000 veterans a year and their families that we serve with housing and things like that. And again, it's the case management program. So everything really hinges on being able to walk the walk with the vet and help them get all of their documents together, help them, to do all of these things as they're in housing. So yeah, it would be hard to say, but like the VA does have us, we do have metrics we have to meet. which would be like housing stability. How many of these veterans that we're housing are still housed at exit or at program completion? And, you know, we hover right around 83%, which is pretty good with these programs considering. Yes, sir.
Next, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to address the issue of the bad paper, the gentleman that was interested in that. If you go to www.dvvc.org, you'll see that several months ago, we did a whole program on bad paper, and within that program and within the announcements are organizations that belong to DVVC that deal with this specific issue and can help veterans go from other than honorable to general or honorably discharged. So I just wanted to let everybody know about that resource, and that's where you find it. And if you can't find it, reach out to the executive committee.
Did everyone hear that? We gotta go.
Did somebody put
Okay.
that information in the chat?
Yes, it will be entered into the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, we have another question in the
So I'm
room.
looking at the chat, and there are 2 questions there in the chat, if I could read them.
Yes.
First one. So Terry Ellis asked, is serving on active duty a requirement for admission at Vet Haven South? Are National Guard eligible?
They are eligible, but there's some criteria. So you have to have served some active duty other than just training. But we do have National Guards in the facility right now.
Right, because National Guard duty only would not be eligible for VA care.
If it's National Guard duty only, so that's inactive duty, then you would not be eligible.
But unless they were called up under federal orders, then they would be eligible. Okay, the second question that's in the chat. What would be the process and who would I need to speak with IRT having a facility like Veterans Haven in Virginia? I'm in proximity to the VA Medical Center, Hampton, Virginia.
So if they go on to va.gov and look at under the homelessness, there's a veteran homelessness page off of that. They have we run on the GPD grant per diem program. They can submit, if they have a facility, they can submit a grant and establish it in another state.
That was Samuel Watkins.
And let me just add that Virginia's veteran support program is very, very well developed. And it wouldn't surprise me if they have something like that already. But if that person puts their email in the chat, I can connect them with the director of veteran services in the state of Virginia, and they can have a conversation.
Yes.
I want to piggyback on the National Guardsman and reservist question, and I'm going to direct that to Ashley and you said, Ashley, you said a vet is a vet when it comes to qualifying for the program. Does that apply to guardsmen and reservists?
Yeah.
Or do they activate or not?
Yeah, I mean, for our affiliate, as long as you are looking to purchase a primary home and you are okay, because our homes are deed restricted, so we don't want someone to purchase it, for $100,000 mortgage and then go around and flip it and make a whole bunch of money, and now it's out of the affordable housing pool. As long as you are committed to purchasing a home, then we are fine. We are fine with that
So
stuff.
you don't have to done 180 days or any kind of requirement.
Right.
Not for ours.
Philadelphia, are you the same deal?
Similar, yeah. In fact, we've actually been encouraged by Habitat International to stop saying the word veteran, and just say U.S. military service people. So if you've served, and we'll accept your status.
Yeah.
One second. We have another one in the room. Go ahead, Kat.
So I had 2 questions, one for John and Ashley. You mentioned sweat equity. What about our veterans? Because obviously a lot of our veterans are disabled in different ways. Have you had an issue with that, and how do you deal with that?
We have not encountered an issue with that, but we have, at least not with the veterans that I've worked with, but with the civilian population, I have worked with someone who couldn't do the physical sweat equity. And so what we do is we either have people do it on their behalf. And, you know, they may come to the site, they may, you know, watch things happen so they can kind of learn vicariously. We also have, like Lowe's and Home Depot have online courses that will have our home buyers attend to kind of get that sweat equity just differently. Because it's really about that knowledge. We want them to have the knowledge that they need in order to maintain the home.
Yeah, and I define it generally as the time and attention needed to make our project successful with you. So that could be moving around furniture or getting your nephew to, that could just be making sure that you're there at the appointment for the home assessment. You don't like have a proxy, you know? So for us, it's just about what care and attention you're making towards the project. And if you want to get your hands dirty and, you know, tape up the drywall alongside us, we'll let you do that. But really, it's just about being a partner.
No, there's one in the back. Okay.
Yeah, I have both a couple comments and then also some questions for our Habitat for Humanity folks. On the eligibility, one of the things I run a program that facilitates teaching police officers statewide how to interact with veterans based off the VA Veteran Response Team curriculum. I'm the guy who has to sell the program to every county. They we're up to 8, by the way, that have adopted. So if you know anybody in Camden that can adopt that, I'm all about it. That's one of my targets. I'm still getting them to get that program, but I digress. But one of the things that we run into issues with police officers when they're encountering veterans, and we tell them not to use the word veteran, is that there's so many definitions of that. So on state civil service, because I'm a combat veteran, I get like extra bonus points and I get property taxes. But not everybody's that, but one of the things that confuses people when I'm trying to get, I also help veterans, mostly criminal justice involved, get resources. And I put a number of people in the 2 Vets Haven, dozens of them actually, between especially Vets Haven North. Is they only need 1 day of active federal service, which is completely different than Veteran Healthcare Administration. Unless they served before September 7th, 1980, and they only had to have 1 day of active federal service other than their initial active duty for training. And that confuses people because it's a totally different standard. They go, oh, this guy's not VA healthcare eligible. Well, he may be not good. I have plenty of guys who are not VA healthcare eligible. I can still put in a GPD program or get an SSVF rental assistance grant for them. So totally different standard. After 1980, you had to have that 2 years, unless of course you had selected presidential call up and you completed that as a reservist, blah, blah, blah. But for the GPD, I said that just 1 day, you can even have a bad conduct discharge. I put people in grant per diem with bad conduct discharge as long as it's not from a general court martial. So it's a special court martial or summary court martial, you're good to go. I don't think I place guys for that. I checked with the VA and that's totally acceptable. So that should, you know, there's a lot of confusion on that because of those different standards, and that throws people off. And that HUD badge voucher is huge to the general's point. One of the reasons I try to place people in those grant per diem facilities, not only to give them housing and a case management for that transition, but that HUD badge is like winning the lottery when they get out. And because the rents are so high in New Jersey, you know, the SSVF doesn't always work, or they don't have, once it runs out, they may not have sufficient income to sustain it. So that was my commentary. And then now that I'm off the soapbox, for my Habitat for Humanity folks, your Habitat for Humanity Philadelphia, I work statewide and I work with law enforcement agencies statewide to help veterans. Yeah. Is there a different organization I need to contact in South Jersey versus North Jersey, Central Jersey, and offline? If you could get me that information, I'd be very appreciative, because I don't know if you work like the VA where you have different sort of sub-strata of the parent organization. You do, okay. So yeah, so offline, if you can let me know, since I'm helping vets in Bergen County as well as like Cape May and everything else.
I think the easiest thing, honestly, and we can absolutely talk offline, but the easiest thing for anyone, because we do have a lot of affiliates do have residency requirements, and we can only serve, like, you know, if you apply, you have someone in Gloucester County who wants to stay in Gloucester County, you would reach out to me. If you have someone in Gloucester County who wants to move to Philadelphia, you would reach out to Keown. So I think that the easiest thing is to go habitat.org And I
Okay.
think it's literally right on their homepage. It says, find your local affiliate. You can just punch in a zip code, you can punch in a town. I think you can even punch in a county.
Well,
And
that's
it'll
too-
list all of the different affiliates that serve that area.
Okay, that's too easy. Yeah, I think like, the VAs, I don't think is as easy. I know it off my head, that's no offense to VA, but like, I know off my head, like Burlington, Camden, Gloucester, Philly. Cape May, Atlantic, Salem, Cumberland, Wilmington, everything else, VA, New Jersey. But, but no, thank you, that's too easy, and I didn't know you did this program, that's fantastic, you do the repairs and the, furniture and everything. I've used the Elks for furniture, but I didn't know Habitat for Humanity does that as well, and that's nice for some of my own. And most of the veterans I deal with are older, like I think the average age is 60 something.
Yeah.
The general point where his average age is 58, these are an older crowd, so you're gonna have more issues like this, including accessibility and everything, so that's fantastic, that you do that.
I'm gonna expand on that. I don't wanna spend too much time, but neither of us talked about this and you kind of alluded to it. We have a restore, most Habitat affiliates do, and I don't think people understand, there are some affiliates that actually partner with organizations like you guys, that we would give furniture away. But some affiliates aren't in that. But the affiliates that can't give it away are still selling it at a steep discount. And a lot of affiliates I know that are Veterans Build affiliates have other additional discounts if you have served. So there's always that option as well.
And the Habitats take donations of furniture.
Oh, yes, and if it's a donation in Philadelphia, we'll come to your house and we'll pick it up for you, so we'll make it super easy.
You have one over here first.
I actually have a comment for Veteran Cleveland South. I'm with Camden County College, the Veteran Service Advisor. And one of the gentlemen, Will, he was one of my students, so I love Will for that. And we worked really close at one time where you have had several success stories between them living at Veterans Haven South, attending Camden County College, completing their degrees, getting jobs, and are on their own. And some of these guys still come back and say hey to me. So I just wanted to give kudos. The work is good work, and when we work as partners, we can get this done for the veterans. So,
Thank you. We just had 2 recent graduates from there, current residents.
And then we have a question, yes, sir.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. One is, just to follow up, Jeff was just talking about affiliates in various counties. You have one in Camden County?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You do, okay, good. I could look it up. I thought you wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yep.
Second, Andy, you said something about 33 counties you go in and cover?
Yes, sir.
And, what are those 33? Not each one. But not each one, but this sound like that's all of.
Okay, so
In New Jersey.
yeah, I can tell you right. It's really easy to think about it. If you were to cut the state of Pennsylvania north to south, right down the middle,
Okay.
everything to the east is us, but maybe a couple of counties, but we're so embedded with the groups that serve them that we'll still take the call and get them connected. And then we cover all of Delaware and then southern New Jersey.
All of Delaware, okay, so.
All of Delaware, yes,
So
sir.
most of your counties are in Pennsylvania, so it's 67, not here.
I don't even know how many.
Yeah.
I just moved out to this location recently and found out that Delaware is like a real state. So I don't know.
Wow.
He's throwing it down.
All right, just another question.
Yeah, I guess my
Sure.
boss stepped out.
I'm with Veterans Affairs in Camden County, and one of the things I think a lot of veterans like is events, because they can recognize their accomplishment. Do you have certain events that you conduct during the year? I suspect in Patrick and Vet Haven, you probably do some events down there, but like medal ceremony.
We do. We just did one last weekend. There's a picture of us doing one in the presentation. So we do one annually because on that average, a 10-month stay, it takes over the course of the year to kind of get the population turned over because once you put in their eligibility. So we do one annually. And I also go out as a senior member of the department and do medal ceremonies all over the state. Yeah, with Chuck, Big Red, and so at malls and VFW halls and everything. So
and the other organizations, Habitat for Humanity and which veterans.
Veterans want to, yes, sir, we do a lot of stuff. I mean, you would think at veteran agencies, a lot of people are like, we get calls all the time, like, will you guys come for Veterans Day and do this, or would you come for Memorial Day for this? And the funny thing is like my staff, when they first get hired on, they're like, wait, we have to work Veterans Day? I was like, that's duh. Yeah, and right? But yes, sir, we do a lot of different events on a regular basis. And I never turn down an opportunity to thank veterans. As a vet myself, I've seen firsthand some of the sacrifices that some of my counterparts have made, and some of the sacrifices that we've made when we have families and we go. So I take every opportunity I can to represent. I'm like, don't save it just for one day a year. So, I mean, you call me and be like, hey, you want to come to this event Saturday? Sure, let me get my boots. Well, not tomorrow. It's Ohio State playing. So not tomorrow. Sorry, football.
You're Rudy?
Huh?
You know Rudy? Is that his? Rudy, Rudy Monte, right? Can ring a bell?
No.
No.
I think that'd be a great idea for us. So at Habitat Philadelphia, every 4 years, pandemic got us off track, but we're getting back to it next year. We hold a family reunion for our past served clients, home ownership and home repair. And I would love to add recognition specifically for our veteran families. That's a great idea. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you have another question?
So I was just gonna mention two things. One, with the medal ceremonies on the Philly side, if anybody's interested in that, please let me know. We are gonna do a medal ceremony as part of our symposium that we have coming up on November 2nd, and I have flyers for that for anybody who's physically here as well. And then on the furniture side of things, for anybody who is looking for furniture for veterans, if you're not aware, both Ahari and Fluta Service have a ton of furniture that they're trying to get to veterans. So please let me know if that interests you and I can connect you. And then lastly, I just had a question for Vet Haven, or a couple of questions. So you do the 3 meals a day. So do the veterans have access to the kitchen at all, or they just have a mini fridge?
Yeah, we don't have a kitchen. We have it's a serving type of cafeteria, so we don't have any stoves, ovens, anything like that. So we sell in the patio grills. So what we do is we have a couple of huge commercial refrigerators, and we go out and stock those the first of the month with just some staples like hamburgers, hot dogs, meatballs, some sausage, and those type of things, and so that they can cook out on those grills. We have an initiative to get a concession trailer and kind of pull it up there and create a little mini canteen that'll be veteran run, and then we're hoping to do that, but it has to be outside the facility.
Okay. And then the other thing is, so I hear from a lot of veterans who are concerned about going into a facility like Veterans Haven because it can feel prison-like.
Mm-hmm.
Do the veterans have access to kind of come and go, and have you had that issue, and how do you avoid that issue?
Yeah, so they often think that, but yes, they come and go as they please, if you will, but with some rules set. So when a veteran first comes to Vets Haven, we put them on a 30-day orientation program, which kind of restricts them to the facility. It kind of gets them into the battle rhythm of what it takes to live there. But they could have a job, so they still may have to go out and do all the things outside, and they have appointments and some other things. We just manage that very closely for 30 days. After that 30-day period, they come in, we have a curfew, 11:30 every night, 1 o'clock on Friday and Saturday. They sign out in the morning. They can spend all day out, go do whatever, come back by curfew and sign back in. They will get a breathalyzer when they come back in, and they're always subject to routine screening. Aside from that, there is room inspections, chores, but everyone has that sense and that feeling, and then after the first month they're like, oh, this is pretty good.
So what if they come back and they are intoxicated, and when they take that breathalyzer, what happens at that point?
So it depends, because we have some rule sets that apply to all 75 veterans that are in there today, and then the substance abuse program is 75 different programs depending on what and who they are, if they're coming from a place or, you know, so the answer is it depends, but it's, we're not zero tolerance, so we kind of have a 3 strike. The general thing is you have 3 strikes, but it's a common occurrence, quite honestly. I mean, there's some veterans that never leave the facility and find plenty of ways to get contraband into the facility. And we don't know it really, because if you never sign out, you right now, we're switching this because we realize a flaw. If you never sign out, you never get breathalyzed. So now we have to institute random breathalyzers, and because we're finding that on the weekend until someone stumbles in the hall, and then we're like, what happened? And they're like, whoa, and then we know. All right. So but you know, you're not going to get discharged for a one-time. It's going to take, we're going to work with you. You may have come in with no addiction or declared addiction, that we may put you on a program if you seem to have a problem, you know, so we work with you.
And my last question was, can I send people from Philly over to you?
Absolutely. Well, most of our folks are from Philadelphia because we're associated with the Philadelphia VA.
Okay, we have one more. I'm sorry. We have one more question.
Just time for one more, sorry.
Oh, we just have time for one more. Do we have anybody online right now with a question? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have to tell you, with all the crap that's going on in the world right now, sitting in on this meeting, my cup got refilled just by all the great stuff that's happening. I like to think I'm pretty connected in the veteran space, but I learned something from each one of these organizations. I learned a lot from each one of these organizations. We also, I just want to emphasize, we've got some badasses sitting up here. So we have an executive director, a World Bank person, a general who flies F-16s, and that was you as the Marine Corps drill sergeant, right? The picture, wasn't that you?
No, sir.
Oh, you're still a badass. I thought that was you.
I am every bit of that, but I'm not a Marine, I'm Navy.
Oh, okay. And a badass Navy sea person. So, I mean, great panel. I love it. I also want to say thank you to Zaida and to Rich. So Zaida, you got us this space, so you none of you will be able to see this, but that's what Zaida is going to get. And then Rich, can you also come up? Rich was our tech person, so he gets one as well. So Zaida and Rich, thank you so much. And Dean Driggers, who opened up, also got a mug. So they're highly coveted. These mugs are highly coveted. So and I also want to recognize Ryan McGoldrick is in the room. So I said this at the very beginning, that she is the person that kind of got this all started. So Ryan, I hope you're happy with the way it's progressed and what we are now. So.
Oh, man, just really quickly, the content, the presenters, the venue, and the food has improved drastically. Thank you so much. No, it is gratifying to see the growth of this group and really the world-class badass presenters that you attract now. It's amazing. So happy to be back.
Great, thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. So we also have to announce the results of the election. So the slate was voted yes unanimously. So yep. So we have new leadership within DVVC, and let me emphasize, and I think I've said this before. We need new leadership. We need new blood. We need new ideas. I want this to be an organization that is constantly living, constantly changing. I think we all want that. So please, if you see something that can be done better, say something, and we'll try and institute it. So, Zeta.
Day of service is should be an okay day. Does this organization get together to do a day of service that maybe we can team up with Habitat for Humanity or Veterans Haven South to
do a project or something.
So we haven't done that in the past, and I would say primarily because we focus on serving the organizations that are members of Delaware Valley Veterans Consortium. So I would almost say that each one of our organizations wishes we had something like that, that they could get volunteers to, but we can certainly look into that and figure out a way to, like, I have to say, each of these organizations, I learned something new about what they do. And like Veterans Multi-Service Center, I thought I kind of knew what you did, but that list is extensive. And so I think there's a ton of opportunities for people to volunteer, and we can certainly look at a way of kind of populating that internally, but then how can we get that external as well? I suspect that a lot of even the population that's involved in veterans issues doesn't know about all the organizations that are out there that serve veterans. So I think we can certainly take a look at doing a better job of publicizing all the organizations and their volunteer needs and the events that they put on. We can certainly take a look at doing that. We have not done that in the past.
I just think it's a good way for all the different organizations to pull together. And if veterans are there, they're gonna say, hey, did you know that this organization does this and this? I was doing this and this organization does that, and if you need help with this person. And I think it kind of brings people together and you're working hand in hand. So you feel that connection, you're able to connect better because now they see you as an equal. They don't see you as somebody who thinks that they're in a bad place, so they're not.
So maybe this is a new committee we have to drum up that Zaida can lead. So that's not meant to, if anybody, please, if you have good ideas, bring them up. Because we need that new kind of energy.
In the meantime, attend the parade and the festival. There will be lots of resources there. November 5th in Philadelphia. November 5th, Philadelphia, 12 o'clock.
Yep. Our next meeting is January 24th. Is that our next meeting?
Third Friday in January.
Third Friday in January. We'll be at St. Joe's. It's our annual planning meeting, our strategic planning meeting, what the next year forward looks like. Ideas like that are certainly welcome. So it'll be primarily in person with a virtual component. January 19th. January 19th. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, any last comments from the room? Anything in here? I love that we have new people. I'm glad the police presence we have here of making police departments aware of how to deal with previous service members. I don't want to use the word veteran because I think we have to be careful of that, but veterans and previous service members is great. Any other comments from in the room? Any comments from virtual or online? If you can just chat it out. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great, we'll see you November 5th. Have a great rest of the year, Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the holidays. And we'll see you January 19th at St. Joe's. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good one.